Donald Trump has spoken for the first time about what appeared to be a second attempt on his life in as many months. Well, he took to the social media platform X on a live stream and described hearing shots ringing out as the Secret Service opened fire on the suspected gunman. The suspect, Ryan Ruth, has appeared at a Florida courthouse. He was detained after agents spotted an assault rifle in bushes a few hundred yards away from Mr. Trump, who was unharmed. Well, the White House said President Biden had also spoken to Donald Trump on the phone and that the two men had had what was described as a cordial conversation. With more, here's our North America correspondent, Peter Bowes.
Keep walking!
This is the moment Ryan Ruth was taken into custody. The 58-year-old was arrested shortly after fleeing from Donald Trump's golf club in West Palm Beach, Florida.
What's your name, Austin? Ryan?
Less than 24 hours later, he was in court, dressed in a blue prison jumpsuit and facing multiple firearms charges linked to an alleged attempt to assassinate the former president. This is where he was confronted by a Secret Service agent while Donald Trump was playing a round of golf.
All of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me, and we got into the carts, and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job.
The agent fired at what investigators say appeared to be a rifle poking out of trees near the edge of the course.
Cellular data shows that the subject was in the vicinity of the golf course roughly 12 hours before the engagement with the United States Secret Service.
Investigators say they're still working on whether Ryan Ruth was acting alone. Kamala Harris said violence had no place in America, and she was relieved her election opponent was safe. But Mr. Trump blamed what he called her and the current president's rhetoric for what happened on Sunday and 2 months ago.
Take a look at what happened.
The former president first survived an assassination attempt while speaking at an open-air rally in Pennsylvania. Since then, security around him has been tightened, but the Secret Service says it needs more resources to do its job. President Biden says he's looking to see if further measures are needed to ensure the safety of Mr. Trump.
I've always condemned political violence. I always will in America. In America, we resolve our differences peacefully at the ballot box, not at the end of a gun.
The White House says Mr. Biden has spoken to the former president to convey his relief that he's safe. Mr. Trump later said they had a very nice call about Secret Service protection. Officials say security around Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home is now as intense as when he was president. There are 7 anxious weeks to go until polling day. Peter Bowes, BBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, Rachel Kleinfeld, a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, she said that US politics is becoming increasingly conducted amid the threat of violence.
Well, I think the real issue is the atmosphere that has been created that has normalized violence really since the 2016 campaign, when we first saw hate crimes, violence against local officials, violence against local election officials go up in America. Well, the president already has a vast apparatus of security, and so do presidential candidates. It's actually the local elected officials and local election officials who are getting huge numbers of threats and do not have that security. So while we need security for our presidential candidates, what we really need is to change the atmosphere in which state officials and school board officials and many, many others are also facing threat.
How do we do that?
Well, there's no one who could do more than Trump himself. Unfortunately, he has not yet taken that stance. But if he stood up along with Democrats and along with third-party candidates and said enough is enough, we need to stop the normalization of violence. We need to condemn political violence and the demonization of our enemies. There is lots of research that shows that no one can bring violence down more quickly than statements from leaders of the groups themselves. And so the fact that President Trump hasn't taken those opportunities, despite being targeted himself twice now, is really disappointing to those of us who research this and say, you're the one who has so much power to stand with Biden, to stand with Harris, to stand with Kennedy and other third-party candidates, and bring this noxious moment to an end.
But Rachel, just to go back to my original point, I mean, there's been 2 apparent attempts on his life, pretty terrifying for him. Do you think that, you know, the Secret Service needs to review the way it protects people like him, and that he should get full presidential level security, which I think is being discussed now, isn't it?
It would be great to give him full presidential level security, of course, but it won't stop the problem, because this is a problem that has been going on in our country since 2016 when he was first president. And it's a problem caused by the level of political rhetoric that has been allowed in our country, mostly, unfortunately, by the MAGA Republican side, often against other Republicans.